Hey everybody, this is Bradley Benner with Semantic Mastery, and Jeremy does not need much of an introduction, but today we've got co-owner and developer of Press Advantage on with us to give us an update for 2022. I'm sure he's going to have some sort of badass offer available at the end of this, but we've been talking about Press Advantage for many years here at Semantic Mastery. It's still an integral part of what I do for all my clients, all my own lead gen assets and everything else. So, and I'm actually in the dark as to what he's going to be sharing with me today and with you guys as well. So I'm just as anxious and as excited as you are. So without further ado, Jeremy, how are you?
Good. How is it going?
It's good, man. I'm glad to have you on again and see what you got cooked up for us today.
There's some good names on there. Names I recognize. A lot of names I don't.
We've got Kevin Test 3 times.
I did notice that too. Jordan Fowler's in here twice too.
So. Hey, Jordan, what's up, man?
He really wants to hear what I have to say.
I guess so.
All right, let me.
Valerie Tobin. I haven't seen her name in here for a while either. So what's up, Valerie? See a lot of you guys in here. All right. Do you need me for anything, or should I kind of bail out and let you take over?
I'm good. If you want to just let me share my screen, then we can get going.
Okay. Let me make you host. How about that?
Perfect. I'm now the host. Share screen.
Jim said, "What's up, jerks?"
Hi, Jim. Wonder if that's who I think it is.
I don't know, but he got it right. So
that's true. All right. Can you see my screen?
I can.
All right, cool. As you can see, I had to use Adam's fine artwork there as our the intro slide here. So, yeah. So, like you said, this is a update for us. It's a little early. Usually, we like to do these a little bit later in the year to give us a little bit more traction. But as you know, Bradley, and now everyone else is knowing, I'm moving halfway across the country this summer, and so my summer times are going to be a little bit stretched, and so I wanted to get all of this stuff in and out the door before I move, so everybody can kind of take advantage of things and not have to wait until the end of the year to get in on all the stuff that we've rolled out and continue to roll out throughout the first half of this year. So for those of you who have been on one of these webinars with me before, some of this stuff will be repetitive. I do want to make sure that I introduce myself and the company and kind of talk about what we do. The meat of it will definitely be new. It's talking about what we have been up to, what we are working on now, and what's coming down the pipe here over the next couple months. Bradley, as you mentioned, there is, of course, an offer at the end. It is not necessarily the offer that everybody's used to. So, don't just skip to the end or anything like that. Pay attention. It's kind of interesting. And then the last thing I wanted to mention before we get started is, was talking to a mutual friend of Bradley and I, who I am doing a webinar with later this week, and we were just kind of talking a little trash and decided that we're going to do a little bit of a competition. And so there are 2 things that we're going to test Bradley and this other gentleman on. And Bradley, I don't know if we want to disclose his name or not. I don't personally care one way or another.
Yeah, sure, I don't care.
Okay, so it's Michael Bowes from the Viper Tools, and so we're going to be doing a webinar with him. And of course, Michael and Bradley know each other well and have a great relationship. So why not have a little bit of fun? So I'm going to watch for 2 things for each webinar. The first one is how many people are on at the end of the day or at the end of the call. And let me get rid of my phone there. So depending on who wins that, all of the participants from that webinar are going to get a little special something. And then the other thing is, of course, the usual: who can drive as the most sales to the offer, and of course, following that, everybody who buys through the offer will also get a prize. So I just have a little bit of fun with it, a little bit of bragging rights. I know last year, Bradley, you may not even know this, but Michael was trying really hard to beat your record, and he didn't. And so he's out for revenge. So I guess if you guys are Team Bradley or Team Michael, is up to you. But definitely stay to the end and see what we have to say, and we'll go from there.
Well, and he's local to me. He lives like literally like 15 minutes
It's
from me.
like blocks down the road, isn't he?
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah,
sure
so
I can go egg his house if he beats me, So
yeah, well, I may hire somebody to TP both your houses or something like that. That could be kind of fun. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started here. Talk about, well, there we go. Let's talk about me. Just kind of so you guys know who I am, for those of you who are meeting me today for the first time. And let me tell my son to stop blowing up my phone, because I'm a bad webinar host. Mute. There we go. So anyways, about my background, I'm not a super polished sales guy. I'm not a big public speaker. I don't do the whole guru thing with pictures of me with rented Lambos and, Airbnb mansions and all that sort of stuff that you typically see on a lot of the guru webinars and stuff like that. I'm a pretty down to earth guy, which I think at this point, Bradley and those of you who have known me for a while can attest to. I live on a farm in Washington State, real small county, middle of nowhere. My wife and I live here. We used to have 5 kids with us, but now only one of them's left. The rest of them are at home. I got more animals than I know what to do with. And, that picture there, that is my driveway for the next few months anyways. Like I said, we're moving. I've been in the tech industry for 30 years now, which is a crazy thing to say because it makes me feel old. But I was on the internet before it was even called the internet. I've used the 150 baud acoustic coupler, if you know what that is. And along the way, for most of my career, I was a high-powered tech exec, worked with lots of big companies, worked in big companies, running huge teams and big budgets, and focusing on delivering results for those companies. I lived and survived through the dot-com boom and the bust. And the one thing that I've learned along the way is that relationships and taking care of people and not viewing them as a paycheck or money is critical to success. And the big companies, they just don't care. And so I walked away from all of that about 10, 12 years ago, and to focus on bringing my skills and expertise to the internet marketing field and taking care of people. It wasn't optional. It was and continues to be a core part of my personal philosophy. Little anecdote that is, not part of my normal speech. I had a conversation today with a gentleman who got double billed on some stuff, and he lost some money on the conversion rate because he pays out of a non-US currency. And so, given what's going on with the power of the dollar today, he lost about $600 as part of that. And so, no question, we just sent him a check for $650 and we're good to go. So that's the type of thing that we always strive to do, is take care of people and let the success and the money follow. So bottom line, I moved out of the city, away from the rat race, into the place where I can focus on what's important to me, which first and foremost is my family, but then also helping people reach their goals. A very brief introduction to Press Advantage. As Bradley says, we have been kind of integrated into the semantic mastery process for a very long time. We are a done-for-you press release service. We focus very much on SEO agencies and larger companies that have their own integral SEO teams. And our main goal is to give you guys an all-inclusive package that will do as much as possible for you and fits into your process without taking over or trying to force you down a road. We don't want to kind of force our view on things onto you. We want to give you the tools to do it. And we have worked with thousands of companies, sent out tens of thousands of press releases over the years. And we continue to iterate, we continue to deliver new value, we continue to build on top of things every single day. So now, I'm biased. But I think that our press releases are absolutely the best that you can buy. They are not the cheapest that you can buy, and there's a reason for that, because I sell, where they're quality, press releases. You can go onto Fiverr or Legit or something like that and get some bargain basement stuff. No problem. You can go to some of the big giant names in the industry, like the PR Newswire, PR Web, and stuff like that. You can pay a couple grand and get a press release done, and you're still not going to get the same type of results that you get from us. And the core reason for that is because we, over the years, continue to focus almost as exclusively on providing all these little details that matter, whether it's letting you embed schema everywhere, all the different other types of media embeds that we pioneered in this industry, everything all the way up to letting you embed all of your press release stuff into other pages, other cloud stacks and ID loop pages, and all these things that you've learned over the years from Semantic Mastery. We have enabled that. I will get a phone call from somebody, and say, hey, can we add this? And we'll look at it, we'll do it and test it, and it works. Great, we move forward. So, that's really been the main reason with it, the main thing that sets us apart from the competition. But along the way, I kind of feel like we've lost a little bit of where we came from. And I came to that realization this winter. And that is an actual picture that I took this winter while I was in the freezing cold filling up the water trough for the cows. And I did that every single day, sometimes twice a day. And I had a lot of time to think about what was going on. And obviously I wasn't always thinking about the business, but I spent a lot of time thinking about the business and what more we could do to really set ourselves apart from everybody else. What can we do that provides even more value to those of you who are already using it, and unquestionable value for those who haven't started using us yet? And I really thought about what made us so successful in our last company and our last app with Link Emperor, some of the things that have been successful that we've added recently with automation and things like that. And I realized that it's one thing to just give people essentially a commodity press release. And yes, we can wrap better distribution around it. We can wrap all the types of little details around it, like the media rooms and all that sort of stuff. But what is it that we could deliver that you don't have to do anything to get, and is going to help move the needle even more? So I was thinking about that pretty much all winter time. And then this young lady right here, her name is Smokey, and she's my lead cow, and she likes to scratch on things. Well, here we are, dead of winter. She's scratching on one of my hydrants, and that hydrant is there to fill water troughs. And she bent it over, and then she kept scratching on it, and she spun it around in circles because she was trying to scratch on it, and unhooked it 4.5 feet down in the frozen muck. And now I had a water leak problem. And so here I am in the dead of winter with a pickaxe and a shovel, digging up this hole, getting filthy, laying down in frozen mud and manure, all to fix this water problem that wouldn't have existed if I had focused on what I knew I should have done, which was automating my water system. And after I got cleaned up after that debacle, then I realized, what, we need to focus back on automation. And so that's what we're doing. So we grew up, if you will, with Link Emperor and doing all kinds of automated link building. We transitioned into Press Advantage, and we built the best press release service on the internet. You can't get a better service than ours. And yes, I'm biased, but I will tell you that I eat everybody's lunch in competitive situations, because our service is the best, period. But so what are we going to add? Well, we have to leverage what's working now, leverage the stuff that is of high value, and then add things around it that we can do in an automatic fashion, where we don't have to leverage people. We don't have to give you tasks to do. We can just take information from you take your press releases and do some crazy stuff with it, all stuff that most of you are already going to be familiar with. But there's absolutely no reason for us not to automate the heck out of that and put it into our press release platform. Now, part of this is actually going to be in our other platform, Condesk, which some of you have heard of, which we are going to be giving away accounts for the, as part of this, these automation pieces, because some of this stuff was already built into these other platforms, and we want you to be able to use them. The first thing that we really want people to focus on is using up these premium releases. We've had these out for, not quite a year now, and they are head and shoulders above what I expected them to be. They are absolutely incredible. And I urge you, if you have a premium account with us already, use the heck out of these. If you don't have a premium account, you should be using at least one of these per site every month. If you're on the standard 2 to 3 releases a month per site, you should be using one of them as a premium release. That makes that big of a difference. It works especially well for e-com, crypto, weed and CBD, and non-local personal services. It doesn't move the needle for kind of your local plumber quite as much, other than from a from a pure link equity perspective. But for all of these other applications, the visibility that people are getting and the brand reputation and management that people are getting out of these is just ridiculous. So that's the first thing that I really want to emphasize is use your premium releases. If you don't have them, get them and use them, because they, and as those of you who have been long-term customers of ours know, before we started, rolled out this new network, I was the first one to tell you it probably isn't worth, upgrading to a premium release. We never sold packages with them because I didn't have faith in the product. And then when we moved to this new network, that's when the game changed. And we talked about that a little bit the last time I was here back in July. But now with almost a year under our belt with this new network, it is ridiculous. And I'm selling a lot of them, and people need to be using more and more of them. So here's the first bit of automation that we're going to do. And part of this is already in the platform. Part of this is still in development. But we're going to, do what we like to do, which is manipulate Google. We're not going to abuse Google or anything like that. We're not going to work at crossways with Google, because I don't like to do that. But we're going to take the tools that they give us, all of these things that you're already doing for your GMBs, for your, to help establish your entity, all of that stuff. We're going to do that in the context of press releases. So we're going to be building drive stacks that are leveraging your press release pickups, and they're leveraging your media rooms here. We're going to build Google Sheets around it automatically. So all of this stuff will automatically get updated. You'll be able to give us additional, keywords to focus on that are outside of, a given press release or outside of a given organization. And, we will just automatically keep these up to date. We'll roll them out. And then we're going to leverage some of our link building from, Link Emperor, where we were able to build some of those mid to low quality links. Well, now we have somewhere where we can send those, and instead of sending them to the press releases themselves or anything like that, we're going to hit the stacks with it. We're going to hit the sheets with it. Obviously, this is opt-in, right? We're not going to force this on you if this isn't something you want to do, but you're all already doing this anyway. So we're going to extend this to individual press releases, all of an organization's press releases as a whole, and the organization itself. And so we're going to, all of this is going to be automated. You are not going to have to lift a finger for that. The next thing we're going to do is automated cloud stacks. This is going to include your classic cloud stack, where it's hosted on S3, and all the comparables. But then we're also going to include a G site in here as well, which we have been able to automate the creation of. They are not as good as manual, of course, but they are well within that 80-20 rule, and we can do it very effectively. Same idea here. We're going to do this for your press releases. We're going to do this for the key pickups. So the high domain authority pickups, we're going to put them into these stack pages, and we're going to automate it every single time. And so nobody has to lift a finger. I don't, you don't, none of my VAs do, none of this stuff. These two pieces together are going to really, help the press releases themselves drive more relevance, drive more authority, and really boost up your rankings before. And so now we don't have to depend on all of these outside factors, because if you remember from the last time we talked, one of the things that I've seen in the press release industry is a lot of low quality sites coming online, and it's just gotten worse. I saw a rate card just the other day from one of my main upstream providers, and he added probably 15 new networks, and they're all junk. Not stuff I would spend a dime on, but people are using them and they're padding numbers and stuff. You're not going to get a lot of great results, but if we can take those pickups, the ones that we do have that are, kind of that lower domain authority, lower, trust flow, and, drop them into these, stacks and drive stacks and Google Sheets and all these little things that we know how to do. We're going to do that with the press releases, so that we're going to bypass that problem of all of these lower quality stuff. It will also help make sure everything gets indexed correctly, and it'll also help with just kind of that overall visibility. So
Well, we can
that's
we can just end it here, dude. So let's go ahead and throw out the offer. It's nice and short and sweet.
Oh no, there's more, and not in the oh wait, there's more type of sense. The next thing is an enabling type of setup. One of the things that we all use a lot of is kind of these automation pieces, like IFTTT and Zapier and all that sort of thing. And we have built plugins for those platforms before, and it's a pain in the butt. I hate building those plugins. I hate maintaining those plugins. And there's so many of these new, these new visual platforms and all these things that are coming on the market as competitors, and I can't integrate with all of them. And so instead of that, we're going to build out webhooks. This isn't in yet. This is in progress. But any type of event that we're going to generate, so whether it's a new press release gets published, we have new pickups that are discovered, all of those types of things, we're going to expose a webhook where you can tell us, hey, send that message to this location. So you can now tie anything that we do into your workflows, no matter how you do that, whether it's Zapier or any of the other ones. You'll be able to use their inherent webhook functionality, because they all have these webhook functions. You're going to be able to use that to tie our stuff into your automation. So you could have it where maybe you have your own branded stacks, and you, every time a press release gets published, you want that to be added to your Google Sheet or whatever. Well, you're going to be able to do that and have that automatically happen without lifting a finger. Obviously, this piece does take a little bit of integration on your part, but for those of you who are already using a lot of these automation tools heavily, this is going to be a huge win for you. You're going to be able to do a ton with this. Yep. One slide too far. So the last major feature that we're working on, and this is here today, and this is hosted on our Condesk platform, which is not ready for consumption from a hosting perspective, but we can already do a ton of RSS manipulation with it. And so what you're going to be able to do is you simply define feeds on in the user interface, where you're going to take 10 RSS feeds, drop it in, and you can combine them. That's the easiest thing to do. Or maybe you do a combine in a keyword search where you only want something that's related to, beef cattle or something like that. And you're filtering that feed for that, or you filter it locationally, or you're doing, geo-targeting, or any of these types of, keyword or location type, manipulations you can do. You can mash them all together, just like some of the other tools that you've seen promoted, here. And Bradley, I forget which ones that you've actually, I think RSS Masher was one of the ones that
Rank Feeder from Lisa Allen. It's fantastic.
Feeder, that's the other one.
Yeah.
Great tools. this is stuff that where you'll be able to do some very similar things. They are not as full featured as a dedicated product like like Lisa's tool, but they are definitely going to be kind of in that 80-20 range, and you'll be able to build these feeds, and then you can consume them wherever and however you would otherwise use an RSS feed. This is great for generating content. You have access to your own press releases. You have access to all of a bunch of other press releases. You have access to news. You have access to any RSS feed that you want, and the sky's the limit as far as what you can do with that. So, and that's going to require you to have a a separate account, since it's a different platform, but that comes for free with these advanced automation tools. Like I teased when I went one slide too far, these tools are not available for everybody. If you have an account with us today, you will not have access to these tools. If you have an account with us today and you want access to these tools, we'll work something out. You just have to let me know. But this is not something that we are broadly, that we are making broadly available to everybody. So, if you are on this call, you are the only one. Well, actually, this is the first time we've pushed this. So you are literally the first people to hear about this. And you are the only people that have access to this. Like I said, if you have an existing account and you want access to this stuff and you don't like any of the offers you're going to see later, then let me know and we'll work something out, because I do want you to be able to use it. But this is not something that everybody's going to be able to use. So do we have any questions about that? I'm kind of done with the feature.
No, sir, not yet.
Not do a 2-hour call if I can,
No questions at the moment.
All right. There we go. Okay, so now we're into a little bit more of the nitty gritty. So those of you who are customers of ours, you can kind of tune out just a little bit. If you're not a customer of ours, pay attention, because this is how everything works. Like I said before, I'm not a big sales guy. I'm not going to wow you with that fancy pitch, pictures of expensive cars, giant houses, and that sort of thing. Gurus can have that. What I do understand is the value of the press releases that we provide, the value of the service that we provide, and just how much of a game changer that can be for you. And so that's why we're here today. Now, if we go back, almost 10 years now to when Google did their Penguin and Panda updates, we looked at the ranking landscape and realized that no matter what Google was doing with their algorithms, press releases were still working. So we shifted from plain link building into a tool all about press releases. First, we took a look at the competition to see what they were doing. We're pretty surprised. There's a lot of shady and deceptive stuff going on, far more than we realized. And I've heard from a lot of you over the years that those practices continue, which is unfortunate, because I wish that people would stop doing that. But a lot of these big PR companies, they're just flat out lying, to you about what you're going to get, about what they're good for, what they're not good for. I knew we could do it better, and we could bring our dedication to excellence and treating customers as partners, and not just the number to this market as well. And I also knew that we could blow everything out of the water quality-wise and deliver results that the other guys couldn't. A lot of the competition was and continues to inflate their distribution network with fake news sites. They build PBNs, they name them, they style them to look like news outlets, and they call them press pickups. Funny story is we sometimes will see people scraping our website and making their own press release networks with our press releases, which is kind of crazy, but whatever works for you, I guess. They'll take spammy ad-filled content farms, they'll call them niche-specific press outlets. This way they can advertise 500, 1,000, 1,500 press pickups in their marketing collateral. But the problem there is pretty obvious. Google doesn't care about those sites. They know that they're fake sites. They don't give those pickups the weight that they claim. So frankly, that's just dishonest. And Bobby, my business partner, and I don't operate like that. So my first commitment to me, my business, and our future customers was real simple. No fake news, no fake news sites. We're only going to use good news outlets that are, quality that Google actually likes. And if it's not a branded site, we're going to check and make sure that Google likes it before we use it. So, we're not going to, spin up a bunch of PBNs that are going to be gone, here one day and gone the next. Now, the next thing that I noticed was, some pretty crazy prices that these guys are charging. Hundreds of dollars for a single press release that you had to write yourself, that was limited to 400 words, which is about half of what Google really wants to see. Now, last week I had on Friday, actually, I had a sales call, and this guy was using PR Newswire, which of course is a name that most of you probably recognize. And he was pretty unhappy with them. Didn't feel like he was getting a lot for his money. And I asked him how much he was paying. He told me he was paying $1,100 per release. He got 400 words. He had to supply his own release, so they didn't give him any writing. He could not embed an image. He, didn't have any other embeds. It was just 400 words, plain text, $1,100. That's almost $3 a word just for distribution. If you want writing, go hire a writer to do that for you.
God,
that's a highway
that
robbery.
is highway robbery for sure.
That is ridiculous. Yeah. And see, last year, my number on that was more, like $800 or so, because that's about what they were at. And, I was floored when I talked to him.
Well, the cost of gas, caused the press releases to go up.
Absolutely.
So that makes sense. It's logical.
Exactly. So our next promise was pretty obvious. No highway robbery, fair pricing, affordable pricing. You guys need a good margin. You got to make money too, because if you don't make money, I don't make money. The next thing that jumped out at us was nobody's using or doing the writing, for you. Everybody, you had to do your own writing. I don't mind writing. My business partner, Bobby, is probably one of the best copywriters I know, but my time is not well spent writing. I can spend my time on much higher leverage activities. And we can't use cheap offshore writers. They're great for SEO articles. They're great, for, kind of that, real deep content where you have to have lots of research or content you're going to put on a PBN. But for a real news story that has to, pass the New York Times style muster, you need a good high quality writer. Everything has to be real. Everything has to be original and completely unique. No spinning, no copy and paste. So that third promise is obvious. Simple access to high quality US based native English speaking writers that write these news stories day in and day out. Not only that, but we then also have to provide high quality editors, college educated US based editors. And we can't charge through the nose for that either. It's got to be reasonably priced, and the editorial help has to be included, not as an extra charge. Last year, I priced out some press release writing services. Back then, the best price I found for the quality and word count was $91.86. It's more expensive now, by the way, but I didn't update the number. Pretty obvious why we wanted to include writing that didn't cost you an arm and a leg. Another problem that we had was, even if you have writers or wanted to do the writing yourself, you'd have to do all the research and prep work yourself, all the keyword research, topic, background, all that sort of thing. If you're doing it for your own product, that's one thing. But if you've got dozens of clients that you're working with, all of that takes up a lot of time. So clearly that was something we had to solve as well. So we pulled our keyword spy tool from our link building product. Nothing you could get anywhere else. We had spent years developing it. And, we leverage that to give you the edge to find the extra keyword targets that make all the difference for the client. Then we trained our writers to do background and subject research so you don't have to. We just need to give them a couple keywords or even just a URL, and they have to write a quality press release for you without you lifting a finger. And that's exactly what they do. Now, the purging problem is a major issue still. I don't understand why, but these shady PR companies, they basically use self-igniting paper to send out these press releases. You send out a release, and within a few weeks, you can't find it anywhere on the internet. This happens even with folks that I think run a good service. They use distribution that purges. I hope you didn't build any backlinks to those PRs that purged, because they're nowhere to be found now. So that's not okay. So we focus on distribution agreements that have lasting value and don't go anywhere. And so sure enough, 7 years later, you can still find our actually it's more like 9 years later, you can still find our first press release out on the internet, not just on our newsroom where they never get purged, but also on a lot of our regular pickup sites. It's perfect for those tier 2, tier 3 backlinks and stacking techniques. And of course, obviously now our new drive stacks and Google Sheets and cloud sites and all that stuff. So we specialize in one thing: powerful automated tools that help you get real results with minimal effort. So we built this system to be hands-free as possible. You have better things to do than babysit another tool. So we do all the research. You hand us a URL, ask us to write a press release, and off we go. We do all of the writing. No more expensive writing, because we handle it for you. Everything is custom written just for you. We never reuse content. We don't have Mad Libs, fill the blank forms, and we definitely don't use any spun content. We do all the editing. No college degree required, no grammar manual. Our expert editorial staff makes sure everything is perfect every single time. And then we handle all of the submission. You don't have to manage the process of getting your press release out there, handling rejections from networks, dealing with news outlets. Everything's handled for you. We do all the syndication. You don't have to get your press release posted on hundreds of pages. You don't have to lift a finger. Everything gets syndicated to news outlet after news outlet for you. We do all the reporting. You don't have to sit on Google searching for pickups. We give you dynamic reports that keep track of all of the release pickups we're allowed to report. And when we get new pickups reported, we add them to that report immediately, and you get an email that same moment. Everything is hands-free. Set it and forget it. Now, some people advertise done-for-you services that require you to constantly be checking in to make sure that things are running smoothly, to verify that you're getting what you pay for. And that's not us. When we say everything is done for you, we aren't kidding. So a little story that some of you have already heard about one of our customers that just kind of illustrates what we mean. I'll call him Jason. Jason was one of our customers for Link Emperor, our early SEO link building tool. When we announced Press Advantage, he was one of the first customers to sign up. He's in a very cutthroat market, and reputation management is really important for him. So that's what he was using the Press Advantage campaigns for. He logs in once a year at the beginning of the year, queues up his 3 press releases a month for the year, and gives us these instructions. Here's my website. Write something nice about me. Use whatever keywords you think are reasonable. My goal is reputation management. I don't need to see the finished press release. Just get it out there. Takes him about a half an hour at the beginning of the year, and then he's gone until the next year. And what happens? Every month, like clockwork, the system queues up the next 3 press releases. We research, write them, distribute them, and email him the reports. He gets the results with practically no time investment at all. And needless to say, he today is still one of our customers. And why wouldn't he be? Small investment, giant results, and no time commitment. So I'm not kidding when I say fully done for you. Now, the question is, what does this really mean for your clients? You understand all of this stuff. You get effortless rankings for anything your client wants ranked. Articles, yep. Videos, of course. News stories, obviously. Your clients will not only dominate the organic results for those valuable local keywords, but they'll own the map pack as well. All that results in real revenue to the client, which means your clients come back to you for more and more over and over. You'll get their brand pages in Facebook and other social platforms ranking, better engagement with real customers, and it won't take you a whole lot of effort. Now, what's the biggest problem? Well, we've been told on more than one occasion that some people have to pause campaigns for their clients because they have too much business. And can they please slow down the spigot a little? It's a good problem to have in my book. So we've worked with probably 3,500, 4,000 different companies now to send out press releases, and we continue to deliver results for long-term customers. People stick with us, and they only stick with us because they're getting their money's worth out of it. And when I can measure my customer life cycle in years, not months, like most products, that tells you that we're doing something right. So this logo cloud is old. We've got a lot of other big names on there, but at the end of the day, we've been working with thousands of different companies. A lot of them are agencies just like you. Now, you've got a couple of different options. You can learn the whole process from research to writing to editing to distribution to syndication to backlinking and keep up with all the changes. You can do it all yourself, or you could hire someone to do it and manage them to make sure it's done correctly. You could use no press releases, but who wants to do that? So to do it yourself, let's add up the costs for one release. Your research and writing runs you about $91 plus some research time. So, call it a couple $100 in the long term. You have to do enough volume so that your writer doesn't go get a job somewhere else. You have to have an editor to proofread it. It costs you about $50. Then you have to submit it through, somebody like PR Newswire or PR Web. And as we just determined, that costs you another $1,100 for 400 words. I don't even know what it would cost to, distribute one of our press releases through them. All of this takes hours of time out of your day, time that you could be, doing far more productive things with. So bottom line, doing your own releases without our system could cost you, $1,200 or more per release, not to mention the time, the hassle, and the headaches. So our main features are pretty straightforward. We have world-class press releases. We have experts doing the research, the writing, and the editing. We distribute to, last checked, about 560 prestigious news outlets. Google News is guaranteed every single time, and every single press release goes out with perfect citations, and you're getting 560 citations every single time. For those of you who are in our premium program and some of our other webinar offers, you get access to our reverse research keyword spy tool. We now have the best-in-class automation. You can embed just about anything you can imagine, from iframes, retargeting pixels, maps, videos, and obviously images as well. We have conversion-oriented newsrooms and release pages that look very attractive to the eye. So when prospects see them, they're happy to click through. And of course, from a general support perspective, we have excellent US-based account reps and customer service, and a comprehensive training and education center that's continuing to improve every day. About the writing, these guys are our cornerstone. It's our writing and editing staff. We couldn't run our business without it. They're wizards at what they do. They take custom writing instructions from you and they craft the perfect press release, never using a form, never using templated content, and never any spinning. Everything is custom written for every single order, every single time, no exceptions. And these aren't short little 300, 400 word releases either. They start at 650 words minimum. The conventional wisdom was always that press releases should be short. But that's old news, doesn't really reflect reality. Reality is that 400 words is just too short. We all know that Google really likes content with meat on the bones, and 400 words is not enough. On the flip side, a 2,000 word press release, Google would love it, but it's just way too long. So we aim for 650 to 850 words, and those releases rank, and they rank quickly. Lots of content for Google to index and parse, and since our writers are experts, they start ranking for long tail keywords that aren't even on your radar within hours. You just don't get that kind of result with short little releases. Now, I used to say that you could find better distribution out there. I can't say that anymore because you can't. With our new premium product, you are getting the exact same distribution that the big boys give you, but you're paying a fraction of the price. So if you wanted to, you can go and you can get distribution from those guys. If you can afford the $1,200 per release, go for it. I pride ourselves in having the best in class distribution. Our standard distribution is fantastic. Adding in our premium distribution, and nobody can beat us, period. So, we have all kinds of different pickups from, news sites, newspapers, local affiliates, radio stations, ISPs like CenturyLink and Atlantic Telecom, and all kinds of stuff. Even a small town newspaper just down the highway from me carries our press releases. I could pitch you on thousands of pickups where 80% of them are subpar PBNs, but I'm not going to do that. And so if sites don't perform, we cull them out of the network. So today we're focusing on our premium network, which is the same distribution the big guys use, but you're just not paying those prices. High domain authority placement, some with do follow links, serious results for serious businesses. Now, our media room is foundational to everything that Semantic Mastery teaches you to do. even when you're just getting a customer started and you're starting to build your offsite structures, getting a press advantage media room is one of the first things that you're going to do, even before you send out a single press release. And we don't charge for them. So when you have an account, you create one before, even if you don't send out a press release for 6 months, I don't care. Create your media room, put it into your schema, put it, start embedding it in places, all that sort of thing. So every single, brand that you manage, every customer or client you have gets their own media room. It includes links to every single press release that we've ever issued for that organization. It adds another citation. It has a map embed. It includes a link and an embed to the social media platform. You get an RSS feed for that, so you can munge that with whatever tool you're using. You can include it on your own website or in an iframe form with an iframe embed option that strips out all of the branding. Of course, we support full schema, and like I said before, we never purge anything. The press release pages, high conversion. We design them to look pretty. They are good for conversion, and there is no ads. Most news outlets have ads on them. Even a lot of press release providers have ads on their pages. We never put any ads on your content. So you're getting another citation. You get all of the embeds, all the links, no purging. These are great for PR stacks. They never go away. They inherit a lot of trust from our domain. We can take a whole lot of backlinks without having any sort of penalty. And every once in a while, you'll see these pages even ranking Google, which is why we built them out to be attractive. So if a prospect lands on them, it looks good. Schema is a core piece of everything that we are all doing on the internet today. If you're not using schema, why not? You should be. And so it's no surprise that we include it everywhere as well. So we put schema in the press releases. We put schema in the media room pages. And every time we send out your press release on the wire, we include the schema as well. Some networks will keep it. Some networks strip it, but we always send it out. And, so it's something that you're going to be able to embed everywhere. We support you having one central schema for the entire client, or you can even add press release specific schema. So for example, you have a real estate agent client who gets a new listing. You have their standard business schema set up on their client page. And then when they send out a press release about this new $1 million listing they can include the schema for that specific real estate listing as well. You can include all kinds of stuff in this schema, and I have seen some pretty creative uses. A gentleman named Gurgley has never failed to astonish me with what he's been able to do with our press releases and schema. Obviously, we all know how important a signal, a GMB map embed is for local rankings, and Google loves video embeds, and they're a huge ranking signal in and of itself. And so, we include all of the different types of embeds across the board. At this point, just about every single network will take, videos and images, and most of them are taking maps as well. We support retargeting pixels. You probably know what that is and why they're important. If you don't, a retargeting pixel is just a little bit of web code you can put on a web page. Let's ad platforms like Facebook and AdWords know that someone visited your page. It's great because they let you put targeted paid advertising messages right in front of people that have already heard of you. If you've ever gone shopping for something on Amazon, then you notice ads for those items following you around the web for the next few weeks. That's retargeting. Getting pixels on customers is the holy grail of paid advertising. Your cost per click drops from dollars to pennies, conversion rates skyrocket, and cost per sale or lead goes way down. Just about everybody who does any significant amount of paid advertising on the internet uses retargeting. We not only put your pixel or your client's pixel on their media room and all of the other pages on pressadvantage.com, but every single release that we put out on the wire also includes the pixel. The power of getting hundreds of release pickups, all with your retargeting pixels where customers can find them and they do get some click-through traffic, should be pretty apparent. Everything gets onto Google News. It's a pretty important signal for Google that your content is on Google News. And so we guarantee that every single release that we send out shows up on Google News. These releases tend to rank very quickly in Google News and they get top rankings. we deliver, results, at a speed that sometimes even astonishes us. It's not just limited to Google News, though. It, of course, shows up in Apple News and Bing News and kind of all of the usual news feeds, and also in all of the popular voice assistant platforms like Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, and those platforms as well. We've actually heard that a lot of consumer products and consumer services do really well with the voice assistant stuff, although we unfortunately cannot track that. Our reverse research spy tool is something you can't get anywhere else. We've been working on this since 2011, and it is only available from Press Advantage. And usually you're going to pay extra for access. It does hours of worth of research in seconds. You feed it a list of URLs. It comes back with a giant list of keywords that those URLs are getting organic traffic for. And it delivers the exact match search counts for each one of them. Now, the list of tactics you can use with this tool are limited really only by your imagination. My favorite method is to take a massive list of competitive URLs, pages and competitors that I want to demolish. And I take the keyword spy tool report, drop it into Excel, and organize it by phrases. Then I'll pick long tail keywords that cover not only long tail, but also the shorter phrases that are part of my target keywords. And then I feed that into Press Advantage for a few press releases and dominate the competition. Now, over the years, we've found that the best place to start with, getting results for individual clients is that 3 press release a month stack. And that's why we want, what we'd like you to try today. Now, if you remember, to get 3 press releases researched, written, and distributed from the highway robbery providers is $3,700 minimum. Our regular retail price for 3 of these premium press releases is $17.99. And, I sold this package to a guy the other day for about $1,000, and he jumped on that opportunity in minutes. But we always want to add more value than you're going to get from Press Advantage alone. So we came up with some bonuses to throw in the pot, and we'll talk about those in a minute. But 3 press releases, retail value from us is usually $17.99. The first bonus that we tossed in is that automation tool we sell access to for $600. The second bonus is training that we don't sell anymore, but when we did, it was flying out the door at $197. The third bonus is another training that helps agencies get clients. It's a turnkey solution I sell for $97, and today it's still getting results like gangbusters. The last bonus is a little cheat sheet for idea brainstorming, and it's priced at $37 if we ever make it available. So if you came in off the street to buy all this, your retail price would be $2,700. But today, of course, you're not going to pay that. All the bonuses, of course, we're going to throw in for free. We're going to cut into our margin on the releases in a big way. Instead of paying $17.99 for them, you're only going to pay $647. 3 premium press releases completely done for you, start to finish, for just $647 a month. And that's almost 80% off of your regular retail price. So just to recap, you're getting the 3 completely done for you press releases worth $17.99 for $647 a month, almost 80% off. Only $215 for a press release that's better than the one that you're going to pay a highway robbery provider $1,100 for. Each release is expertly researched and written by experienced PR writers and edited to perfection by professional editors. We handle all the submission and syndication of the release for you and generate dynamic syndication reports every single time. We'll even email you every time we find those new pickups. And anyone who takes advantage of this opportunity today will get full and unlimited access to all of the new automation tools that we just talked about, all the drive stacks, the sheets, the G sites, everything. Not only will your pricing stay locked in, but if you don't use all of your credits in a month, they'll roll over for as long as you have an active subscription with us. So those bonuses, the first one is access to the reverse research keyword spy tool. Like I said, normally something that you would pay $600 for. Today it's free. This tool has been in constant development and updates for 7 years, and it lets you spy on competitor traffic, finding those sweet long tail keywords that really bring in the cash. My business partner, Bobby, is one of the best copywriters out there. He put together the second bonus as a training on using press releases to connect with local press. crafting headlines and cheat sheets for powerful press releases. We don't sell this anymore. When you could buy it, it cost $197, but today we're throwing it in for free. Our third bonus is our $97 bulletproof local news system. It's a real game changer for finding local clients. I've got a couple people that have used it over the last couple months and have landed, several clients with this. Bobby took time to write up this complete system, including a fill-in-the-blank sales letter for reaching out to local clients. This copy converts, and it converts like crazy. At a regular retail price of $97, it's a must-have, but as a free bonus, it's icing on the cake. This is a return to direct mail, just so we're clear. And if you are paying attention to what's going on in the marketing industry today, direct mail is back. And people are taking the time and reading those direct mail letters again. So this is a strategy that helps you leverage the power of press releases and direct mail to land more clients. Now, the fourth bonus is a $37 value. We don't sell it, but it's 107 reasons to issue a press release. The most common problem that we heard from our earlier customers was it was hard to come up with ideas for press releases because nothing they had was newsworthy. Now, I know that you can write a press release on a huge variety of topics, but we didn't really have a cheat sheet for anybody. So Bobby put together this special guide to help with brainstorming. There's over 100 reasons why you could issue a press release for you or for a client, so you'll never be stuck on what to write about. And I'm only about half serious when I say that if you can't find a reason to send out a press release after reading this list, you maybe shouldn't be in business because there's not a whole lot going on. Now, the last bonus that I generally include on my webinar calls, and that's really the only place to do this, is to get on the phone with me. Once you sign up and you kind of get your feet wet, you get a link and you can sign up and spend some time with me on a Zoom call, and we'll talk about really anything you want to talk about, but generally focusing on how to get the most out of the product and the platform, and talk about the strategies and what's working today, and kind of really whatever gaps you'd like me to fill for you. That's what it's there for. And then we're going to throw in these two extra bonuses. The first one is a special private webinar that's going to happen in a couple weeks. Everybody that signs up today will have access to that webinar. We're going to do some really deep dive education into what's working today, what I see working well, what I see not working well, and then how to use all of the new features that we've added over the year and a half or so, and give you a real handle on how to best take advantage of it. We find, for example, that our scheduled release product, there's only a couple people that are using it because they don't understand how to use it, and that's my fault. And so we're going to remedy that. We're going to do a real deep dive webinar, and this thing could go 2 hours because we're going to sit and we're going to answer all the questions that we need to answer for people, and you will have access to this webinar. And then the other thing, I mentioned this before, but the automation features that we're talking about today, the new stuff that we're launching, they are only available to our top level customers. Everybody who takes advantage of the offer today will have full and unlimited access to those features. And I do mean unlimited because if you're going to send out press releases, you don't need to be paying extra for all those stacks and stuff like that. It's just all included in the price. And like I said, if you're an existing customer and you want access to it, contact support and we'll figure something out. Now, just to kind of finally recap here, that's 3 press releases, our keyword spy tool, all the other bonuses, full access to the automation that we've talked about today, and exclusive access to that webinar that we're doing. All of that is just for $647 a month. Those of you who have been with me for a while understand our money back guarantee. Those of you who don't, it's a really straightforward guarantee. If you're not happy, give me a call. Let me know. We'll refund your money. And it's a rolling guarantee. So this is not really one of those things where we're gonna set up this window and if you're outside of the window, oh, so sorry. I got to earn your business every month. And that means that if you're a customer for 6 months or 6 years, if you don't like the service and you want a refund for the last month after you cancel, no questions asked, done deal. Now, a lot of you were hoping for a different offer, I bet. Some of you have heard a little bit here, a little bit there about our unlimited plan. I'm not running the unlimited standard plan anymore. It's gone. I know I've, run it a few times, but I can't do it anymore. I've had too many people abusing it. I've had too many people coming in and taking what was a good thing for everybody and ruining it, frankly. So I can't do that. But what I can do is something similar, and that is to bring back the elite upgrade that we talked about last year, and it is similar, but it is 5 premium press releases with unlimited standard press releases that you write yourself. So, and that charges $997 a month. If you know what it is, you know what it is. If you don't know what it is, that's okay. Stick with the premium. The unlimited stuff is really just for for people who are super serious about the business. These offers, they go away at the end of the replay cycle for the webinar. I guess I can't really say they go away today anymore because everybody's doing the replays. And then if neither of these options are a great fit for you and you're just getting started and getting your feet wet, you can get 3 of our standard press releases fully done for you for $397 a month, and there's that link down there at the very bottom. So with that, that's it. Like I said, no hard pitch. Here we are. Let's answer some questions.
Right on. Well, we've got several, of course. So let's start right at the top. Well, first, and this is kind of a light question from Jordan. Where are you moving to?
I'm moving to Missouri.
Okay. Another one from Jordan is curious why some sites won't let you report a pickup. Why is that?
Because they're dumb. That's the short version. There are still some sites that feel like it's a liability for their brand to report them. I don't understand it. Every single time our renewals come up, I argue with them about it. Most of them now let us report pickups, but unfortunately, some of them don't. So,
okay. David says, I used your service in the past. Can I restart that account or do I need to start a new one?
You can restart that account. Yes.
Okay.
And if you want to sign up with the plans and you have a canceled account, if you just log into that account with your browser and then just click on, well, I guess you can't really click on the links, type in the link, to the offer in your URL, and it should automatically upgrade you. In worst case scenario, we'll get you squared away with support. And
guys, by the way, there is a comments box and then there's a question box, and it's a lot easier to distinguish the questions when you put the questions in the Q&A app or widget as opposed to mixing them in with comments. So just kind of want to clarify that in case this is the first time you've been on a Zoom webinar. Check out the question and answer box. It makes it much easier to determine which are actual questions. All right. Daniel, this is a great question because I've been on Jeremy about this for a minute.
You must have bribed Daniel to ask
the
question.
I've been on Jeremy's back for this for a long minute now. Has the no follow link issue been resolved?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet. That one's on me, and I've been so busy.
I know you have. I've been letting you slide on as much as possible.
You all have permission to harass me about it as much as you want.
Nathan says most press releases have very low URDR. How are you using them to move the needle when trying to rank pages or post in local SEO? And I'd like to answer that one because that's all I do is local, and I don't give a shit about DR, UR, any of that crap. I honestly don't. And I swear, and I'm not saying that to be rude to anybody here, but I just don't care about third-party metrics. They just don't matter to me. What matters to me is relevancy and how to move the needle, right? And so some of the things that I do, Nathan, is, and I'll reveal this here, but I'm sure I'll do some sort of bonus webinar for you guys and reveal some more strategies that I use for local SEO too, because that's all I do is local. Okay. But one of the things is use the Google Maps share URL. So embed the map, always embed the map when you're doing local. There's just a drop down when you're placing the order for the press release. Just select, yes, I want my map to be embedded. Always do that, number one. Number two, if you're going to link to the map, don't link to the CID map URL. A lot of people think that that's what you're supposed to link to. No, it's not, because the only people that ever link to that are SEOs. Like, what you should be linking to is the Google Maps share URL. If you're trying to push page rank, understood. You would want to link to the CID map URL, but I only do that very strategically with certain types of links because the only type of people that ever link to that are SEOs. What you want to do is link to the map shared URL because that's what Google expects people to link to. And then if you're using any sort of CTR manipulation tools, so click-through rate manipulation tools, run traffic through that press release to click on that Google Maps share URL. That is a beautiful signal for maps, a beautiful signal for maps. And you can do that with Google Maps, the share URL. You can also do it with the share URL from reviews. So if you go into Google Maps and you go click on the reviews section and you select a particular review, click the share icon and grab the share URL from that. And then also send click-through traffic that you highlight that review in a press release. That's one of the primary purposes that I use press releases for, is to highlight reviews from my clients, right? And then you link to that share URL and then you send click-through traffic from the press release to that. It's referral traffic from news sites on the share URL, which does not push page rank or link equity because it's a 302 redirect, but it's not necessary. It's about the activity signals. And that is it's a very, very powerful thing to do. So that's one. Another one is embed the Google post images, right? The Google business post images. If you know how to optimize Google post images or images to be used in Google business posts, text overlay, QR codes, all the kind of stuff that we teach how to do to optimize those images before uploading them to be used as Google business post images. Then you take the post image URL from the inner page of the Google business site and you hot link that or embed that image into the press release. That acts as, like, again, additional kind of like photo citations back to the Google business profile. So there's just a number of things that I do because, again, it's an integral part. I've been with Press Advantage since Jeremy's launch webinar in 2014. So, everything that I do with press releases are specifically for local. And so, again, we will, anybody that purchases through our link today, I'm going to end up doing a bonus webinar and going through some of these strategies, which includes click-through rate manipulation stuff, as well as just, stacking techniques and some of the other stuff that I've been doing lately. Okay. You want to add to that, Jeremy?
Yeah. One of the things to keep in mind when you're looking at these third-party metrics is, the fact that these third parties have their own algorithms as to how they are trying to determine these numbers. And they try and maybe kind of guess what Google is doing and what Google cares about. But more than anything, those are marketing numbers. And when somebody like Ahrefs or SEMrush looks at a site, they're going to have a crawl budget for that site. And they get bigger crawl budget generally if they, if they have more links coming into those sites. And that's why they think, oh, more linking is better. So it's a very old way of looking at how to calculate this domain authority. And when you have syndicated content, and you have a lot of syndicated content, that crawl budget gets eaten up really, really fast. And so you won't have, you won't necessarily have the domain authority, but that doesn't mean that Google doesn't care. One of the things that you might have noticed in if you look up a press release, is that we have a test network for our Condesk product, which is all about content syndication. It is not released yet. I know we've been talking about it for a year and a half, and we use it. We have some tests going with it. But if you look at your press releases, you're going to find that Google is indexing those right away, and Google is showing those sites as it's full of them. And if you look at those sites in Ahrefs or SEMrush, they're going to have a low domain authority, 10, 15, and it's not going to be very good. But Google immediately is putting them in their index and in their primary index, and it's ranking them in their primary index. It's putting this stuff in front of even high quote unquote domain authority pickups like Digital Journal or something like that isn't showing up, because Google is giving this preference to these sites. I have theories as to why, but at the end of the day, Google loves those sites, and SEMrush and Ahrefs say, hey, these sites are garbage, they're worthless. I'm going to go with what Google says. If Google is consistently ranking these, pickups from these sites when you are doing a title search, there's a reason for that, and I'm going to pay attention to that, not to what Ahrefs or SEMrush or any of these other guys are suggesting. So,
good answer. Also, just to follow up real quick, because I saw a follow-up question to that. I'm going to grab the screen for a minute if I can.
mm-hmm.
Let me see if it will take me. Can you make me host again?
Yeah.
Try that again. Click the little 3 dots.
Yeah, hang on.
Stand by, because there's a follow-up question about Nick says, yeah, I'm not sure how you share a specific review via link. I'm going to show that. And then also Jordan asked a question about no follow, do follow, no follow. I'm going to share that as well. So stand by, guys. A couple ninja things here at the end that I'm going to share. But like I said, I'll do a separate webinar with you guys about and share all the stuff that I do, because I do a lot. You guys are seeing my screen now, correct?
Not yet. There it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So for example, tree service, Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm just going to click right into maps to go over to here. We'll look it up. Click on the reviews. In fact, let's grab this guy's name here and go pop a knowledge panel for it. All right, so we're going to click into here, go into maps, go down where the reviews are, and you see how there's share URL for each one of the reviews, guys? Copy that. That's a share URL right there. Boom. Now, if we go visit this in the browser, you'll see that it goes directly to just that one review. Does that make sense? If you want to go take a look, like I said, guys, this is not something that you push link equity to, because it doesn't, it's a multiple 302 redirect. So it means it does not pass PageRank or link equity, whatever you want to call it nowadays. See, it's only a 1.302 in this case, but it doesn't matter, because the point here is Google, if it sees click activity on that sort of a link, it's activity signals, right? And we should all know that activity signals are a big part of the ranking algorithm now. It's not the be all end all, but it's a big part of it. So these are all really good types of things to do, both there as well as that. So that's the review share URL for a specific review. So those are always great. By the way, those are perfect opportunities to publish a press release, get a review, publish a press release, right? Highlight that in there. Another one is the share URL here. This is what I was talking about, the Google Map share URL. This is what Google's expecting to see click activity on, not the CID map URL that we all think you need to have for SEO. And there are reasons to use the CID map URL, like in Schema, because it's got the CID, right? The customer ID or company ID, whatever that C stands for. So all that makes sense. But when you're building links, you should only really be building links strategically to that. Otherwise, you should be building into the share URL, because that's how the layman, the civilian, a blogger would be linking, right? Not the SEOs like we are, right? Does that make sense? So that's one of them. Another one real quick is Jordan, asked a question about how do you know which ones of the pickup sites where they're published provide do follow links. The easiest way, guys, just go to Google, search do follow test right here. This is a free tool you can download. It's a desktop software. It's free. Download it. It's called Scrapebox, whatever, do follow test. And then you export your CSV file of your pickups from Press Advantage, and then you add them up, add them to this site with the link in that you want to check to see if it's follow or no follow, and hit start. And in about 10 seconds, it will read every single one of those and tell you which ones are do follow and which ones are no follow. And then you can export just the do follows in a text file, and boom, there's your link building targets. If that makes sense. Okay, so again, real quick way to pick up, find out which are your follows and no follows. And when Jeremy gets around to turning the Press Advantage links to follow, you really won't need any other. You can focus all of your attention on those, and that's I'm anxiously waiting for that as well. So
the one thing I want to chime in on that though is to be real careful with only building links to the pickups that have do follow.
That's true.
It's better, frankly, just to build them to all of them, depending on the type of links that you're using, because Google is looking for natural footprints. And if you're only building links to that, that's a that feels unnatural. That's why we don't ever lean on our providers to give us all do follow or anything like that, because I want a natural mix of do follow and no follow links in the pickups, because that's what is expected, and that's what that's what Google's looking for.
You want a natural link profile, and that includes even for your targets.
Yep.
And no follow links still have value. There's no question.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They still have value. So, but if you want to like focus your powerful links that you have that to push link equity, then you certainly want to do that more strategically, and that's where it's good to know which ones are follow and which is no follow.
Or if you're using them as the foundation for a stack or something like that, where you're really kind of amplifying a bunch of link equity onto one page, you want to make sure that the off link for that. Now that is where the premium offer comes into play, because the one of the pickups that you get with the premium distribution, and actually, let me just jump ahead. It looks like Rob has a question about this, so let me just lay this out. Our standard network is what everything goes to. It's 560 some odd sites, a very broad variety of domain authority, and whatever metric you want to use. And it's great for lots of citations. It's great for a lot of you can use all the different strategies that Bradley will teach you, and you can get some really solid results with that by itself. If you upgrade to the premium network, that is kind of where the big boys play. It's the same type of distribution that your Fortune 500 company is going to go after. It's the same thing you're going to get from like a PR Newswire or a PR Web or something like that. So it's going to go onto Yahoo.com. It's going to go to Yahoo Finance. It's going to go on Benzinga, which all of which in the Ahrefs world are high domain authority sites. And then it's going to also go up to our distributor for that, which is Globe Newswire. They are one of the big players in that industry. And they have a high domain authority. I think it's 90 something. And because of the way we built our integration with them, they give a little info panel on the side of every press release, which contains a backlink back to the money site, kind of that main company website from that high, very high domain authority site, and that is a do follow link. So that is a fantastic link to be leveraging as well. I suggest that you always have at least one press release going to the premium network for every client. We see definite improvements in results for everybody that uses the premium releases. If you are working with budget conscious customers, you will get results with the standard, using predominantly the standard offering. We have found after, because we sold some premium packages in our last webinar, back in July, and we have seen the customers that are using those and that are using exclusively premium releases. It doesn't much matter what the target industry is. They're getting better and faster results, period. So well worth it. Again, if you have, customers that are very budget conscious, maybe just once, but if you can work it into your cost structure, to do it more often, it is a game changer. And it is one of those things actually where I have gotten, I get probably on average 1 or 2 phone calls a month that are directly from people seeing the premium releases. I get calls every week from people that are spying on their competition saying, okay, well, why am I getting my ass kicked in the SERPs? And they look at the backlink profiles for the competitor and see some of our links on there. I am now getting those calls regularly for people that are finding us on through the premium pickups, and they are competitive in some very, very tight spaces, and they're doing real well with them. So like I said earlier in the presentation, before I was very honest with this is not worth it. This new network, 100% worth it and more. So
yeah, my favorite strategy for press releases and has been for months now is linking directly to Google Business Posts, because the thing is with Google Business Posts, guys, you get a do follow link from the the button, the CTA button, right? So learn more or book was where you can add a link to the button. And so that becomes your anchor text, either learn more or book. So you publish a Google Business post, use the images like I was talking about with text overlay, QR codes, that kind of stuff. And then you publish a press release with an exact match anchor linking to the inner page URL of the Google Business post. And then you basically push the relevance to that do follow link from the Google Business post, but that is a generic or miscellaneous anchor. So you're not having to worry about over optimizing anchor text like you would if you were linking directly to the money site. You're using a Google property to kind of buffer between your money site and the press release distribution. It's my favorite strategy, and I talk about doing that with content mirroring and everything else. So very, very powerful. And then, like I said, you take that image and you hot link that image as the embedded image for the press release, the Google map. All of these things kind of help to push the maps, that and then stacking and everything else that we teach. So, okay. And by the way, again, using click-through rate manipulation is one of my favorite strategies. It's evolved. Like when I did Local PR Pro, it was all about using press releases specifically just for ranking maps. But now it's more, for me, it's more for kind of augmenting other stuff that we do, as well as people, once they determine, at least in the contracting industries, which is what I work in, usually when a customer decides on hiring for or requesting an estimate from a contractor, they usually do like a more than 50% of them will often go do a brand search for that company to say, like, to find out like what are other people saying online about this. And if you can populate that whole front page with good press about the company, like painting the company in favorable terms, then that always helps. And so I use it for branding and in referral traffic for click-through rate manipulation and that sort of stuff. So okay, a few other questions that I can see. What separates your service from Newswire?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't keep track of the competition. I don't really pay much attention to them. I hear about them anecdotally when I get sales calls from their customers that are looking to switch, but I don't really keep too close of don't really pay attention. I know they cost a lot more than they used to. I did look at their pricing a few months ago, and it had gone up significantly because I was evaluating what to do with our pricing. And beyond that, here's the deal that you have to understand with the press release industry. And this is probably not something that I should be sharing, but I'm going to anyways, because I share it with people on sales calls all the time. All of us distribution companies have access to the same networks. We all get to play in the same pools. It's just a question of which ones we write contracts with. So somebody off of Fiverr, they're gonna buy distribution through one or two networks, and really the ones where they can say, oh yeah, you get the logo sites, which are the Fox, CBS, NBC affiliates and that sort of thing, and then you might get one more, and so that's going to be your bargain basement providers, and they might pad the numbers with low quality networks, for example, that don't cost very much, and so they can still get their margin on that. And then you have somebody like us, or like a press cable or somebody like that, who is working with a lot of different networks, and I think we currently are working with 13 networks. It kind of changes from time to time. I'm trying to add another one right now, and we have access to all of the same ones. And so the difference in distribution tends to be fairly minimal. That might be changing now with, like I said earlier, there's a lot of bloat in the network rate cards now, where they can you're seeing a lot of really targeted networks that are maybe not quite so high quality. And so it's not necessarily always fair to say that everybody's distribution is the same, but we all have access to the same ones. So I don't have anything negative to say about Newswire. I just don't know much about them. I know I get customers from them, just like I do from pretty much all of my competition. But at the end of the day, I don't have the time to focus on them. I focus on building a better service and delivering better results, and keeping everybody happy. And well, like you
Good
said,
answer.
Bradley, you've been with us for a long time, so I must be doing something right.
And I don't have any sweetheart deals either. I'm paying a paying customer since 2014 from your launch webinar. I've upgraded a couple of times, but
Yes, you have.
Anonymous says, can we have 24 hours for premium? It's 9 p.m. Banks close.
Yeah, I think we'll leave this open till Friday.
Okay. So we got a week.
Gives you some time for replays.
Well, then that means for Michael, you can only leave it open for like 3 days then.
No. He gets to Saturday.
Damn it. Another one.
Days.
Another one was I've never thought about including a retargeting pixel in a PR. My question is, who's getting retargeted? The person who clicks on the link in the PR. Sorry if this sounds like a newbie question. I honestly don't know how a retargeting pixel in a PR works. Thanks.
Yes, that's exactly who it is. So what happens is we try as hard as we can to have press releases not show up for the primary keywords that you're targeting, because to me that's just leaking link equity, because we want all of that to flow through. But the way that algorithms work, there's always lots of long tail keywords that press releases are going to rank for, and then of course branded keywords they're going to rank for, and especially with the branded keywords, that's where retargeting really comes into play, because if somebody is doing some research into your brand and they look up your name and they see at the top of the page, they get your website, you got your info panel on the side, maybe you have some Yelp reviews and kind of these review directory sites, right below it, your social platforms. And then kind of the bottom of page 1 into page 2 and 3, if you've been running press releases for a while, you're going to have 6, 7, 8, 9 press releases there. And they appear to be news stories, and people that are investigating your brand and trying to research and see if you're legit, if you're a good provider, they're going to click through and they're going to read it. Well, when they click through, if the pickup didn't strip out those pixels, they're going to get pixeled. And so that's the method where your prospects are going to get pixeled. It's very difficult to track. I would say it's practically impossible to track, but it doesn't cost us anything to do, and it's it's a one-time setup for you. So if you're running paid ads, it's a no-brainer just to drop your tag manager code in there and let it rip. So
Danny says, what's the shelf life of the press release? Well, Danny, there was some slides in the presentation about that, where some of them are going on 8 years, 9 years?
Yep. We have, so again, back to the secret sauce about how the industry works is we work with one network that has a purge cycle on it. Their normal purge is 30 days, and it is one of the primary logo site networks. For us, given the fact that we've been working with them for so long, and we have, as they tell me, literally the lowest complaint rate as far as quality content coming through. Our quality bar is so high that they have given us 6 months of retention. So those logo sites, those pickups they do purge after 6 months, but that's the only network that we have that purges. Everything else is there indefinitely.
Very cool. The next one was from Danny as well. He says, what is the turnaround time of the PR after submission?
Generally speaking, if you are putting in an order on Monday, you will have your release back ready for you to review on Friday. So our target is kind of that 1 business week cycle. I think technically when we, on the order form, we say, 10 business days. But generally our writing turnaround proper is about 3 to 5 days.
Yeah. It rarely ever takes more than a week to get one back for me. We
had one guy who went to one of our big writers. He went to visit some family. I forget where, somewhere in Asia, and got stuck in a big typhoon or something like that. And so we got backed up a little bit then, but beyond that, it's pretty straightforward. So.
All right. The next one is from Kevin. Says, I'm starting up my agency again and don't have the volume yet. Is there a way I can work with you on a per release method?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, we don't do a la carte or, single releases. And the reason why is that, as a form of content marketing, it's something that has to be sustained and you have to actually use it for it to be effective. And I have this natural aversion to taking your money and selling you something that is not going to deliver results. And it's going to take you forever to get results if you're just doing one-off press releases. And so I choose not to sell them that way. There are certainly other providers that are happy to take your money regardless. but not me. I'm looking for long-term relationships with people, and I want people to, be successful, businesses. So, by all means, come back when, the volume picks up a little bit. But yeah, we don't do kind of the one-off stuff and things like that. So
The next one's from Jeremy, one of Semantic Mastery's own. He says, do the PR pickups change from release to release? I assume yes. So how can we increase the pickup on each additional release?
I'm not following the second part of the question. The pickup URLs obviously are different, but the pickup sites, so the individual outlets that pick them up, they don't change from release to release. They're always the same.
I think what he's saying is sometimes they don't get published all the time on every one of those sites, but you're saying they do, correct?
Yeah, the only time when that would happen is if you're, for example, if you intentionally wanted to send out something that's more like a salesy or something like that, and less newsy, we will tell you if it might get limited distribution, because there are some of our upstreams do care about that. So we'll tell you if a release is not getting as many pickups as you think it should. Let us know and we'll dig into it, because sometimes a lot of our upstreams are pulling our content through RSS and stuff like that, and especially Digital Journal for the last 6 months has had capacity problems, and they reprocess everything, but sometimes they miss a few releases, and so I have to kind of poke them and say, hey guys, you got to go pick this release up. So if you ever are not getting the same, roughly, obviously, I mean, the number is going to go up and down a little bit, but it shouldn't go from like 560 to 300 or something like that. So if there's ever a major difference between press releases, let us know. We'll take a look and we'll figure out what's going on. So the reporting systems, well, let's put it this way: none of these networks make any money off of reporting, and so their reporting quality tends to be very low.
Yeah. All right, so looks like we're running down low on questions, which is good. And then I'll scroll through comments too and see if I can pick up a few through there, but we'll try to wrap this up in about the next 15 minutes. That's okay with you, Jeremy?
Yep.
All right, so Nathan says if we have a standard plan, we can still upgrade to premium release as needed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Easy. All right, next one is from Anonymous again, says, or from a different Anonymous. So the only difference between the premium 647 and the standard 397 PR is the distribution networks like Yahoo Finance. I still have access to the bonuses.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So the upgrade fee to go from a standard release to the premium network is $150 additional. So you can kind of do your math there.
Okay. The next one is I have a Yahoo Finance from you guys. This is just more of a comment in the questions box. I have a Yahoo Finance from you guys from 4 or 5 years ago that's still up. So that's good. Greg, you must have come in late, buddy.
Must have missed the whole thing.
Yeah, you must have just came in because Greg, that's funny. He's one of Semantic Mastery's longtime members. He says, howdy guys, how's the premium distribution going these days? Any news on it? Watch the replay. I don't know if we want to rehash all of that.
Or just hit me up, Greg. You know how to find me.
Yeah. Right on. Okay, so I'm going to try to scroll through a few of these comments, guys, because you guys mixed it up at the end. So okay, credits do roll over, guys. Rob was asking about that. Yes, they do. What if I want regular press releases to purchase also, since premium ones are not needed for local clients? Well, that's not what he was saying, but that's a good question though. If you have for example, Jeremy, if you have the 3 premium press release subscription, is there any way to also purchase standard? Or do you have to have?
Yeah, absolutely. So if how it works is the premium press releases it's an upgrade credit. So it lets you choose when you order a press release, do you want this to be a standard, network, or do you want it to go out to the premium network? If you run out of standard, kind of that normal credit, you can always buy more. I don't remember off the top of my head what that price is. I want to say it's like $100 or something like that. 100 and, somewhere between 100 and 125. And then you can apply a premium credit to it. So if you had your 3 premium press releases, when you log in, it's going to say that you have 3 written for you press releases and 3 upgrade to premium credits. And so how you choose to apply those credits is up to you. And you can always buy more credits. And if, this is all irrelevant if you're on the unlimited package too, because, then you can still, all you do is buy writing and it's, all good. So,
And that was another question I saw further down in the comments is how much does it cost to buy the writing for the unlimited? If we want to have your team write them, which is what I always recommend, what is the cost to have the team write them?
$50.
$50. It's just, that hasn't changed. That's been the same for years now.
That's been the same for a long time.
Yeah.
I probably should bump that price soon, but I hate raising prices.
So let me just clarify this, guys. If you have the offer that gives unlimited self-written standard distribution press releases, do not write them yourself or hire it out. Let his team do it because his team does an amazing job. They get approved every time, as opposed to if you submit your own, it goes through the editorial process that can likely be kicked back because of lack of quality. As Jeremy said, which I can vouch for this 100%, if you go try to hire a press release writer from like Upwork, for example, $90 is rather cheap, and that's typically for about 400 to 500 words. If you want a 700 to 800 word press release written for you, it's going to cost you every bit of $125 or more. So what's the point when you can have Jeremy's team write it, which will go through the editorial process a lot quicker because it's his team that writes them for $50. It's so the whole point is if you want the unlimited, just have his team write them. Will save you money and will be a much faster turnaround time.
The other, thing that you're not going to get from the guys on Upwork is a press release that both reads well for humans, but is also optimized for SEO
Correct.
results, which is something that our writers are, focusing on, and they're very good at. And so you will go to Upwork and you'll get a flashy press release for somebody that writes press releases to go into the, to go on some corporate website somewhere that has no idea how to write something that is going to, deliver better results in Google.
So Jason says, when will you do this bonus webinar? Within the next 2 weeks, Jason. Well, within the next 2 weeks, I'll schedule something. It'll be on a Monday, just like today. These are always when I do my bonus and extra webinar stuff is on Monday. So it'll be probably around the same time too, but 2 weeks, I'll say 2 weeks. We can even probably schedule it for 2 weeks from today. The notification will go out to all buyers. Okay. You mentioned at the beginning that you don't think that releases are good for local oriented businesses like a lawyer. Did I mishear that? Yes, you misheard that, Jason. Do you want to comment on that, Jeremy?
Yeah, they work great for all local businesses. They work even better for somebody like e-com and those verticals that I mentioned before.
Okay. So why don't you think premium press releases help with local SEO? That one came from Nathan.
I think we just answered that.
Yeah, I think so. So similar questions. Again, as Jeremy mentioned several times, guys, and I have not been using the premium press release as much, so I need to do some more testing with that for sure. But you should be doing, if you can, work that into your retainer costs, right? So that you do one premium press release for each client per month. Mm-hmm. You should absolutely work that into your retainer costs if possible. So, okay. Last couple of questions. Does Press Advantage stack the PRs for a client, or do we have to mention it to them? That's a great question.
So this is one of the things that we'll cover in the how to use, all of our new features webinar that I talked about. But, we have two types of ordering automations. We have just a standard scheduling order, which says, I want a press release for this client using pick a keyword off of this list, pick some URLs off this list, etc., and send out a press release every 10 days for this client. That we have that kind of basic scheduled order, platform there. And then there's a similar thing that will actually automatically stack those PRs. So you can say, I want a 10 PR stack and I want to separate each PR by 8 days or whatever. And we'll go through that whole process, and we will there's some options in there where you can decide how to stack them. There's a couple of different styles. I know Bradley teaches one style, but there's a couple of other options that people that like to do their stacking a little bit differently. And so you can use either one of those, and then it will automatically take one of the links that is normally in the press release. And of course, with stacking, it's always better to reduce the number of links so that you're focusing everything down the chain to the foundational page that you're building the stack on. So oftentimes we'll just have one link in that press release, and then you're gonna all of that is automatic. You don't have to make any of those changes yourself. So you just set up the stack and you say 10 release stack, 5 release stack, whatever it is, separated by how many days. Depends on the client, obviously, depends on how competitive the space is, all that sort of things.
Okay. One more question just popped up from Nathan. He says, when you stack PRs, do you only use the Press Advantage URLs? I tend to, Nathan, yes. Me, that's the one I always, because Press Advantage, like, I know that they're not going to purge. I love the way that they look. They have all the embeds. They have the NAP, the follow link over to as part of the NAP, like little box above the map. It's got the embedded website, the money page, or whatever it is that you decide to embed in there. It's got the little 1x1 pixel for the embedded ID page. Thank you, Jeremy. So I like to always stack directly to the Press Advantage URLs because of all of the stuff that's been worked into that over the years, specifically for our methods. But you can.
But you're also going to get
others.
the benefit out of all of the other stuff that we continue to add too. So if you're stacking on, say, Digital Journal, which is a great pickup,
yes,
then you're not getting all of the I mean, let's say next year we find some new technique that we can add to add support for. All of your old press releases would automatically get it if you're stacking on our stuff. But if you're stacking somewhere else, then you have to start a whole new stack with that. So.
Yeah, and then also on the Press Advantage domain, as well as for the individual press releases, as well as on the company page, organization page, there's links to the previous press releases. So you're kind of powering up the whole lot of them all at the same time whenever you're stacking.
And that's really the idea. I mean, that's why we designed it that way, because it's basically a content silo for each one of your
Correct.
clients that's riding on our domain. So you can power up the whole thing and you get that overflow effect. So.
And the last one that I had actually, there's 2 more that were in the comments way early that I posted into a notepad file so I could find them, and I forgot to ask them earlier. And then we'll wrap this up, guys. Jason says, here's my question. How do I talk to the PR people I know who are paying PR Web or PR Newswire for distributing releases? Do you have an FAQ link that convinces them that your system is better?
I don't. They are not our target, so I don't really have any collateral that goes to them. I do have some customers that do that sort of thing. I can certainly give you some pointers on how to do that, and obviously we can work together to help you develop your sales collateral. A lot of that is really it's got to kind of come from your voice too. So you're representing your agency and who you are, as opposed to being just a reseller essentially of our services. So it's gonna, because otherwise they're gonna say, well, why don't I just go talk to those guys? And we don't want that. We want them to come through you. We want to build your business, and so your sales process should really have your voice all over it. But I'm happy to help you with that as best I can.
All right, and the last one is, does this work for UK-based businesses and sites, or are the news sites US-based?
The news sites are almost all US and Canada, but they are you're going to get results anywhere. We have results from everywhere from Australia to Eastern Europe and everywhere. So
okay, right on. I think that's it.
Cool.
So go get it, guys. I'll do like I said, a bonus webinar within the next 2 weeks, maybe 3, but probably within 2. I'll actually look at my calendar when I get off, and if I can schedule it for 2 weeks from today, I'll do that. Reach out to support@semanticmastery.com if you have any questions for me about that specifically, but otherwise we will send out a notification to all that have purchased through our link with the registration info for that webinar. And Jeremy, do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, if you have any questions or run into any trouble signing up, just reach out to our support desk, support@pressadvantage.com. They will get you squared away. And if they can't, they'll call me and I will. So
Beautiful. Well, thanks for your time again today, as always, Jeremy, and we will see you guys on the next one.
bye, guys.